There is a quiet habit we all carry, the need to control everything, to make things happen on our timeline, in our way, according to our expectations, and we hold on tightly not because it feels right but because letting go feels unfamiliar, and somewhere deep inside we convince ourselves that control is power, but what if control is just fear in disguise, fear of losing, fear of being alone, fear of the unknown? So we force conversations that have already lost their meaning, we chase people who have already emotionally left, we try to fix situations that were never ours to fix, and slowly, without even realizing it, we start losing ourselves in the process. Our energy becomes heavy, our thoughts become restless, our peace quietly disappears, not because life is against us but because we are going against the natural flow of life, and the truth is not everything is meant to be controlled, some things are meant to be felt, understood, and then released. Because what truly belongs to you will never require you to force it into existence, and maybe, just maybe, the reason it feels so hard right now is because you're trying to hold on to something that your soul is already ready to let go of. There comes a point where holding on starts to feel heavier than letting go, but we still choose to stay, not because it feels right, but because we have invested so much of ourselves into it, our time, our emotions, our hope, and we tell ourselves that walking away would mean losing everything, so we keep holding on to people who no longer see us, to moments that have already passed, to versions of life that no longer exist, and in doing so, we carry a weight that was never meant to be ours. Forever, a weight that slowly drains our energy and dims our inner light, yet we ignore the signs. The silence that feels too loud, the distance that keeps growing, the effort that is no longer returned, because accepting the truth feels more painful than living in denial, but what we often fail to realize is that not everything we lose is a loss, some things are a release, a necessary ending that creates space for something more aligned, more peaceful, more real, and maybe the heaviness you feel is not life testing you, but life trying to free you from what no longer belongs in your journey. And the moment you understand that holding on is not always strength, sometimes it is just fear, is the moment you begin to loosen your grip and allow life to move the way it was always meant to, with ease, with flow, and with a quiet sense of trust. At first, forcing things doesn't feel wrong, it feels like effort, like dedication, like love, but over time that effort slowly turns into exhaustion, a quiet kind of tiredness that sits within you even when everything around you seems normal, and you start noticing how you're always the one trying, always the one fixing, always the one holding everything together, and instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel drained, confused, and emotionally distant from yourself, yet you keep going because you believe that stopping means giving up, but there is a difference between giving up and waking up. And maybe what you're feeling right now is not weakness but awareness, a realization that something is no longer flowing the way it should, because what is truly meant for you will not constantly leave you feeling empty, it will not require you to beg for attention, to prove your worth, or to carry the entire weight alone, and the exhaustion you feel is not random, it is a signal, a quiet message from within telling you that it's time to stop forcing, time to pause, time to listen, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to push harder, but to step back and allow life to reveal what is naturally meant to stay and what is gently trying to fall away. There was a time in someone's life when they held on to a connection that once felt like everything. They gave their time, their energy, their patience, believing that if they just stayed a little longer, loved a little deeper, things would return to how they used to be, but days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and nothing changed except the way they felt inside. The laughter became rare, the conversations became forced, and the silence between them started saying more than words ever could, yet they stayed, hoping, waiting, convincing themselves that this phase would pass. Until one day something shifted, not around them but within them, they realized how tired they had become, not physically but emotionally, and for the first time, they stopped chasing, they stopped explaining, they stopped forcing, and instead of reaching out, they chose stillness, and in that stillness they felt something unexpected, peace, a quiet sense of relief that they hadn't felt in a long time. And it was in that moment they understood that letting go wasn't losing someone, it was finding themselves again, and what felt like an ending was actually the beginning of something softer, something healthier, something real, because when you finally release what no longer aligns with your soul, you don't fall apart. You slowly come back together in a way that feels whole. There is a strange discomfort in not knowing what comes next, in standing at a point where nothing feels certain and everything feels like it's slipping out of your control, and in that space your mind starts creating fear, making you believe that if you don't take control, if you don't force things to happen, everything will fall apart. But what if this uncertainty is not here to break you, but to guide you somewhere better, somewhere more aligned with who you are becoming, because life does not always reveal its plan all at once. Sometimes it asks you to trust without seeing, to move without knowing, to release without guarantees, and that is where true growth begins, not in control, but in surrender, not in forcing, but in allowing. And the more you try to predict every outcome, the more disconnected you become from the natural rhythm of life, because what is meant for you does not need constant pressure, it unfolds in its own time, in its own way. And maybe the reason things feel unclear right now is because you are being redirected, gently pushed away from what is not meant to stay, and guided towards something you cannot yet see, but will one day understand. And when that moment comes, you will realize that nothing was ever truly lost, it was simply leading you to a place where everything finally makes sense. There comes a moment in your journey where you begin to realize that peace is more valuable than attachment, that holding on to something that disturbs your inner calm is no longer worth the emotional cost, and this realization does not come easily. It comes after countless moments of overthinking, of waiting, of hoping for things to change, until one day you feel it deeply, that quiet voice within you asking for rest, asking for release, and in that moment you are faced with a choice, to continue holding on out of habit and fear, or to finally choose yourself, to choose your peace, your energy, your well-being. And choosing peace does not mean you didn't care, it does not mean you are giving up, it simply means you are no longer willing to lose yourself for something that was never stable to begin with, because real connections do not make you feel anxious, they do not leave you questioning your worth, they do not require you to sacrifice your inner balance, and the more you begin to honor your peace, the more your life starts to shift, the more clarity you gain, and the more aligned everything begins to feel, because when you stop chasing what disturbs you, you naturally attract what calms you, what understands you, and what stays without being forced. There comes a moment in your journey where you begin to realize that peace is more valuable than attachment, that holding on to something that disturbs your inner calm is no longer worth the emotional cost, and this realization does not come easily, it comes after countless moments of overthinking, of waiting, of hoping for things to change, until one day you feel it deeply, that quiet voice within you asking for rest, asking for release, and in that moment you are faced with a choice, to continue holding on out of habit and fear, or to finally choose yourself, to choose your peace, your energy, your well-being. And choosing peace does not mean you didn't care, it does not mean you are giving up, it simply means you are no longer willing to lose yourself for something that was never stable to begin with, because real connections do not make you feel anxious, they do not leave you questioning your worth, they do not require you to sacrifice your inner balance, and the more you begin to honor your peace, the more your life starts to shift, the more clarity you gain, and the more aligned everything begins to feel, because when you stop chasing what disturbs you, you naturally attract what calms you, what understands you, and what stays without being forced. There was someone who spent so much time trying to keep everything together. They held on to a relationship that once felt beautiful but had slowly turned into something exhausting. They kept showing up, kept giving, kept hoping that things would go back to how they used to be, but deep down they knew something had changed, the connection no longer felt natural, the effort was no longer equal, and the happiness they once felt had been replaced with constant overthinking, yet they stayed because leaving felt too painful. Until one day they reached a point where they could no longer ignore how they truly felt, and instead of sending another message, instead of trying one more time, they chose to do something different. They chose to let go, not with anger, not with resentment, but with acceptance, and at first it felt strange, empty even, like a part of their routine was missing, but as days passed, something unexpected began to happen. The heaviness they carried started to fade, their thoughts became quieter. Their energy felt lighter, and for the first time in a long time, they felt at peace with themselves. And it was in that quiet peace they realized that letting go didn't break them, it freed them, it gave them back the parts of themselves they had lost while trying to hold on, and what they once feared as an ending became the beginning of a life that finally felt calm, balanced, and truly their own. After everything you've been through, there comes a moment where you begin to return to yourself, not all at once, not perfectly, but slowly, gently, like rediscovering a place you once called home, and in this phase you start seeing things differently. The things you once chased no longer feel as important, the people you once tried to hold on to no longer have the same hold over your emotions, and it's not because you stopped caring, but because you started understanding that your peace was always more valuable than temporary connections, that your energy was never meant to be spent on things that drain you, and as this awareness grows, you begin to rebuild your relationship with yourself. You start listening to your own needs, honoring your own boundaries, and choosing what feels right instead of what feels familiar. And yes, there are moments where you look back, moments where you question your decision, but even in those moments, you feel a quiet strength within you, reminding you why you chose this path, reminding you how far you've come, because returning to yourself is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before you started forcing yourself to fit into places that were never meant for you, and in that remembrance, you find a sense of peace that feels real, stable, and deeply yours. In the end, everything comes back to this simple truth: life was never meant to be forced, it was meant to be lived, experienced, and allowed to unfold in its own time, and the more you try to control every detail, the more disconnected you become from the beauty of natural flow, because what is meant for you is not something you have to chase endlessly, it is something that will align with you, meet you, and stay without constant struggle. And this doesn't mean life will always be easy, but it does mean it will feel right, it will feel balanced. It will feel like something that supports your growth instead of draining it, and when you finally let go of the need to force outcomes, something within you relaxes, your mind becomes quieter, your heart feels lighter, and you begin to trust again, not just life, but yourself, because you realize that no matter where you are right now, you are exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn, growing into who you are meant to become, and the moment you stop resisting and start allowing, everything begins to shift in ways you never expected. So take a deep breath, release what you've been holding on to, and trust that what is truly meant for you will always find its way, naturally, effortlessly, and at the perfect time.